All right, good morning. Welcome back. Today we're going to learn our final thing in chapter 8. Okay, so just to prepare you, our chapter test is coming up at the end of the week on the 12th. So today we are going to talk about what do we do if we have a right triangle. In the past, we've always had the angle on one of the sides. We could find the missing side. Now we have two angles. We want to know how can we find that missing angle. We have two sides. We want to know how we can find that missing angle. Okay, so right here on this first one, it says find x. X is actually that angle of elevation right there. So it's actually very similar to what we did last week. Once again, SOHCAHTOA will be used. It's up to you on how you remember this. If you haven't memorized, that's great. If you can't, just make sure you have it somewhere handy. Okay, now we are concerned with the angle right here, angle x. So let's label the 3 and the 5 and decide which of these we will need to use, sine, cosine, or tangent. So if we look here, 5 hopefully is the easy one. That's our hypotenuse. And the 3 will be opposite. It is over the triangle. Right here would be adjacent, but we don't have anything there. Okay, so this one is opposite. Now, we have an O and an H. So to find our O and our H, we look up here, O and H, that's sine. Now, when I write this, it's going to be sine of x. I don't know what that angle is. Still put it over 1. That will equal, now O goes on top, so 3 over 5. Okay, now, here's the thing, actually. We are used to putting over 1. The way we can get rid of that sine, we have to take something called the inverse of sine. Okay, so to write the inverse of sine, we'll cancel out the sine. We'll be left just with x on the left side. And then on the right side, we would have sine, the inverse of sine of 3/5. So do you see if I put it to the -1 there, that means the inverse of sine. Now, on your calculator, once again, desmos.com/scientific. It's a little bit harder to find this. Let me get rid of this video. It's not that much more difficult, but up here you got to hit function. Sine, cosine, tangent right there, those won't work. We got to hit function, and then right here, sine -1, cosine -1, tangent -1. That means inverse of sine, the inverse of cosine, the inverse of tangent. So I hit sine -1, and I go back, and we said, whoops, I don't want numbers, I want numbers, not letters. 3 divided by 5, close my parenthesis, hit enter, and as you can see, 36.869, it keeps going, right? So if you round to 1 decimal place, 36.9 degrees. Okay, now make sure when we write it, since we are finding an angle, it will be 36.9 degrees. All right, now we're going to do it again, the second one. As you can see, some of you might think that's the exact same triangle. You're right, it's exactly the same, except now, instead of this one in the bottom, we need the one in the top. And we want to know what that angle is. So it will change it slightly. The 5 is still our hypotenuse, except the 3 becomes our adjacent now because it is beside that angle. So A over H, that's cosine. So cosine of x, that will equal 3 over 5. So now when we do it, the inverse is the same process, except it's going to be the inverse of cosine. So the inverse cosine of 3 over 5. So once again, come here, go to function, hit that, switch it back to the main, and you can do 3 divided by 5, close it, we hit enter. If we round to 1 decimal place, 53.1. Okay, so 53.1 degrees. Now, hopefully that makes sense to you why that is what it is. Because if we think about it, if this is 53.1, we already found the other one was 36.9. If we add those two together, so 36.9 plus 53.1, and we will see that we get 90. Okay, now let's think about that. 90 plus our right angle is 90. That equals 180, so it makes sense. They should always add up to 180. Okay, so what we need to do now let's practice one more time, and then we'll do a word problem. So if we look here, we have, if we go beside it, the 14, that's our A. The 25, that would be our H. So A and H, that's going to be cosine. Cosine of X equals 14 over 25. All we have to do to get X is take that inverse of cosine. So we go back here, inverse of cosine of 14 divided by 25, close your parenthesis, hit enter, and we will get 55.9 degrees as what our X is. So hopefully, if you were good at SOHCAHTOA, this shouldn't be that much more difficult. In fact, it might be a little quicker sometimes. Now, we're going to do one more problem. Let's take a look here at a word problem. Same process, it's just what are we finding? So the flagpole is 85 feet tall. We know we're still going to have a right triangle. And if the flagpole is 85 feet tall, that goes right here, 85 feet. Okay, now it casts a shadow of 55 feet. Be careful, shadows, some of you might be tempted to put it here, but a shadow is always on the ground. It lies on the ground. Okay, so that's where we put our 55 feet. Now it says, what is the angle of elevation of the sun? So angle of elevation means above horizontal. Right here, X degrees, I don't know what that is. So we need a label. This would be adjacent. This would be opposite. Now all we have to do, O and A, that's TOA or tangent. So the tangent of X, I'll put that over 1, equals O over A. So TOA, 85 divided by 55. So now our value of X will just equal the inverse tan of 85 divided by 55. So we go here, inverse tan, 85 divided by 55. We hit enter. Now it's set to the nearest degrees, so 57 degrees will be our answer. X will equal 57 degrees in this case. So go ahead. If you want to see some more examples, definitely reach out. But try these. Go on to Delta Math, and there's a few problems for you guys to do with this. If you need any help, definitely let me know. Send me an email. Let me know. And our test is coming up at the end of the week. Hope you guys have a great day.